They're the same. So what is the slope of my new line going to be? Negative 2/5. Okay, so I found the slope. What do I do after I find my new slope? Plug it into my point slope formula. Why is it called point slope? You plug in a point and you plug in a slope. Good. All right, so what is the y of the point I'm going to plug in? I agree, -1. When I plug it in, what happens? Turns into a positive. And then what is the slope I'm going to plug in? Negative 2/5. And then my x is 2. The left will stay the same. I'll have y plus 1. Yes, ma'am. All right, then you distribute. Negative 2/5 times x is negative 2/5x. Good. The other I'm going to write on the side. So I'll write it over here. Negative 2/5 times negative 2. So the first thing you do is put it over 1. What is a negative times a negative? A positive. Then you multiply the top. So 2 times 2 is 4. And the bottom will be 5. All right, so my next step will be subtract 1. I'm going to write it next to the fraction because that's what we'll be combining in 2 seconds. So the left will be y, the right will be negative 2/5 x. So when you're adding and subtracting a number and a fraction, they have to have the same denominator. What is the denominator of the first fraction? 5. And then what's the denominator of the second? Oops. What just happened? Oh, it is what? Is 1. Okay, so they actually have to have the same denominator in order for us to do anything. So here's the easiest way to figure out what to make the denominator. You multiply the denominators you currently have. What's 5 times 1? 5. So we want both of them to have a denominator of 5. Okay, so I'm going to write off the side. We already have 4/5. We want the second one to have a denominator of 5. What do I have to multiply by 1 to get 5? 5. So I'm going to do that to the bottom. I also need to do it to the top. Bless you. So I'm going to have 5/5. Reason being, what is 5 divided by 5? 1. What is 1 divided by 1? 1. So did I change the value of the number? No, I just changed the look of it. Okay. So now I just do 4/5 minus 5/5. So the bottom will stay the same. It'll stay at 5. The top, you'll do 4 minus 5, which is -1. And then that will be the answer. We're going to practice fractions on the next screen as well. The second one is perpendicular, so we start all over. What do we know about perpendicular slopes? They're the opposite reciprocal. Opposite reciprocal. So what is the current slope? -2. So the opposite reciprocal will be 1/2. So that's my new slope. Where did I get the 1 from? Yeah, it's understood under the number. All right, so from here, we plug into the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so what is the y I'm going to use? 4. And then we decided my slope was 1/2. And then my x is, 3. So on the left, I have y minus 4. On the right, we're going to distribute. What's 1/2 times x? 1/2 x. 1/2 times -3. You write -3 over 1. What's a positive times a negative? You're going to make a negative. Multiply the tops. So 1 times 3 is 3. And then 2 times 1 is 2. So you're going to leave it like that. Don't make it a mixed number. What am I going to do next? Add 4. So I have y equals 1/2 x. So now I need to combine minus 3 over 2 plus 4. What denominator does 4 currently have? 1. What do I want both of them to have denominators of? 2. So I need to multiply the top and the bottom of my second fraction by 2. So what's 4 times 2? 8. And then 1 times 2 is 2. All right, so we add the tops. So we have minus 3 plus 8, which would be positive 5. And then the bottom, you keep the 2. All right, so on the next, you're going to write this. Go ahead and label adding and subtracting fractions. I'm going to tell you 2 things about it. So write down adding and subtracting fractions. I took these questions off a 5th grade math book. So the number one thing with adding and subtracting fractions is they need common denominators. What part of the fraction is the denominator? The bottom. All right, and then the second thing is that in your final answer, you don't, or let's say, you keep the denominator. Maybe that's easier to say. You keep the denominator. So that means you don't add it, you don't subtract it, whatever it says. You just keep the same denominator throughout the whole thing. So if you ever baked 1/3 cup plus 1/3 cup makes 2/3 cups, and things like that. So we're going to do our first 3 examples. So we got 1/2 plus 5 is the first one. 1/2 plus 5. So what denominator does 5 currently have? A 1. What do I want both the denominators to be? 2. So the first one already has a denominator of 2, so I'm going to leave it. The second one, what would I need to multiply by the top and the bottom? 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then 1 times 2 is 2. So you add the top and you keep the bottom. So 1 plus 10 is 11, and then the bottom will be 2. So 11 over 2. The second, you have negative 13 over 5 plus 3. So 3 currently has a denominator of 1. What do I want both of them to have the denominator of? 5. So the first one already has that. The second one, what do I need to multiply both of them by? 5 and 5. So what will my new fraction look like? Here, I heard it. 15 over 5. So then you still add the tops. Minus 13 plus 15 is 2, and then you keep the bottom. One more. We got 12 over 5 minus 8. So what do I need both denominators to be? 5. First one already is 5. The second one is not. Multiply top and bottom by 5. What is my new fraction going to look like? 40 over 5. Make it a different color. 40 over 5. All right, so then is my answer going to be positive or negative? Negative, because 40 is bigger. What is 40 minus 12? 28. And then the bottom will be 5. All right, then you're going to write multiplying fractions, like I have at the top. Multiplying fractions. we're almost done. So do you need common denominators when you're multiplying fractions? No. So don't need common denominator. And then with these, all you do is multiply the top, multiply the bottom, and then reduce. Alright, so we only have 2 examples of these because we did them yesterday. We have 4 over 5 times 6. What do I need to do first? Yeah, put that understood 1. Then just multiply straight across. 4 times 6 is 24. And then 5 times 1 is 5. Does this reduce? It does not. And then your last one, you have 11 over 7 times negative 3. So put that put that over 1. Multiply straight across. What's 11 times negative 3? Negative 33. And then on the bottom, you have 7 times 1, which is 7. Does this reduce? No. Okay.